Hi, this is Dr. Gold again. We're up to Module 5 here. So before I just go through these couple of slides about cash asset management, I just want to update you on a couple of things. Number one, you should be making some decent progress here with your personal financial plan project, which isn't due for a little while, but you certainly should be doing your budget for the month of February. You should be tracking all of your expenses. You should have done a balance sheet by now of your assets and your liabilities. And hopefully, you've started to write part of the narrative for your personal financial plan project. I'm only mentioning this because, I know students tend to procrastinate, as do most people, and I'm just trying to push you to stay ahead of your work and stay on top of your work so you're not late with that assignment, which is a really important part of this course. All right, so here's chapter 5. I'm just going to convert over to the slideshow view. And this chapter is basically the importance of cash management. Cash flow, and you're doing a cash flow statement for your personal financial plan project, is essentially the difference between your income less your monthly expenses. Whatever is left over is cash. Now, if you go through your income and your expenses and determine that, let's just say you have cash left over of $100, and at the end of the month, you look in your checking account and you see that you have $2. Well, you've done something wrong in your calculations, obviously. If you're supposed to have $100 and you only have $2, you've got to go back and you've got to find where either you earned less money on the income side than you thought, or you spent more money on the expense side. So here's the formula. It's a simple one to remember. It's one that you should have seared into your mind throughout the remainder of this particular semester. And I'm going to give you a couple of resources at the end of the video to help you kind of get jump-started with savings and accumulating wealth for your future if you have not already done so. Some of you in the class are at different stages in life, so some of you might have some savings and investments, other of you might not. But the one thing I hear a lot from students is, hey, Dr. Gold, I can't save anything because I'm a college student. Well, I say to that, can you save $1 a week or $1 a month? I'm sure everybody in the class could at least do that, take $1 and put it in an envelope, if nothing else, and begin to demonstrate to themselves that they're able to save. The other thing is you have to think about the choices you make, which is something we talked about earlier in the semester. So, for example, if you go to Starbucks every day and you're spending $4 a day, that's $20 a week. If you simply don't stop going to Starbucks altogether, but if you stop going, let's say 2 days a week, and you save $8 a week, which is $32 a month, all of a sudden you're going to have close to $400 within a year without getting more hours at your job, without reducing your livelihood and expenses very much, if at all. Just one small little tweak like that makes a huge difference. And then when you think about the power of compounding, which you've learned about in this course, and you start to invest that $32 every single month into, let's say, the stock market or some sort of investment that can, yes, be risky, but over the long term generate a much higher rate of return, all of a sudden that $400 a year becomes worth a substantial amount of money in 15 or 20 years from now. So little changes in your life can make a huge difference down the road. The question is, do you want to make those changes? I obviously can't make you do that. The other concept that we haven't really talked about yet, but I want to talk about right now, is the concept of opportunity cost. It's discussed in the textbook, but I just want to kind of make sure we understand what this concept is. Opportunity cost is what you're giving up when you make a decision to do something. So, for example, you're listening to this video right now, and you think to yourself, well, if I were not watching this video right now, what would I be doing with my time? Some of you might be exercising, some of you might be eating, some of you might be sleeping, some of you might be working. Everybody might have a different thing that they would do as opposed to watching this video. But it's that next best thing. You might be hungry and tired, or want to work and make more money and go out to eat. But you have to choose one thing out of your list of many things that you would want to do instead of watch this video. And it's that one thing that you come up with that is your opportunity cost in this particular example for watching this video. Now, why is opportunity cost important? It's important because we tend not to think about what it is we're giving up when we do things. And specifically when we're trying to satisfy some sort of short-term need that we have or desire that we have to, let's say, go to the movies or eat out, we don't tend to think all that much about what we're giving up over the long run. So opportunity cost is essential for you to kind of get into your head. So as you make decisions and choices about your life and your spending habits, you may not change those habits, but at least you'll begin to think about them through a different lens. And I think opportunity cost helps you a lot to be able to do that. The other part of opportunity cost that's important to understand is that once you start to think about it more, you may begin to realize that the cost of doing something is so extensive that it's not worth doing at all. It could be let's say, going out to eat 3 times a week. It could be that that cost is requiring you to work more hours at work, which takes away from any kind of leisure time you might have. But you have to think these things through and try to come up with a deeper understanding of what exactly it is you're foregoing or giving up when you make the choices that you make. There's an important concept we've talked about briefly in the course, which is to pay yourself first. And there's different ways you can do this. You could do it consciously, which is to say, well, I'm not going to go out to the movies this Friday with my friends and spend, $25 on dinner and the movies and popcorn and so on and so forth. And instead, I'm going to take that $20 and put it into a savings account and pay myself first. I'm going to take the $20 and make an extra payment on a credit card debt to reduce the amount of debt that I have. Most people don't think consciously about their spending because it's an unpleasant thing to do. So you have to kind of think about ways that you can automate that process. One way of automating it, and you'll see at the end, is the 52-week savings challenge, which I'm going to challenge all of you to do in this week's module check-in assignment. And then another way is if you do have the ability at a job to have money automatically deducted from your paycheck and put into some sort of savings account, that would be good. Or if you have a savings account in a bank, to automatically have a certain dollar amount, even if it's $1 a month, taken out of your checking account and put into the savings account. There's many, many different ways that you can do that, but we'll talk about the 52-week savings challenge in a moment. This chapter also covers financial institutions, and there's 2 basic types, commercial banks and investment banks. Commercial banks are typically the banks you're aware of, like Bank of America and so on, where you do traditional banking, savings, car loans, mortgages, and so forth. And then investment banks or financial institutions are places where you open up accounts to trade stocks in the stock market or make different types of investments of that sort. Checking accounts are, obviously safe and secured by the federal government, but there's 2 different types of checking accounts you should be aware of. One is a non-interest bearing account, that's called a demand deposit account, and the other is an interest bearing account. There are advantages and disadvantages of both. Typically, interest-bearing accounts, because they pay interest, have minimum balance requirements that don't exist for traditional non-interest paying checking accounts. So just make sure as you do your banking that you know exactly what type of accounts you have and what kind of fees, if any, you're being charged. Savings accounts are pretty much self-explanatory, so you should pretty much know what one of those is. Certificates of deposit are another way to save money. Certificates of deposit are accounts that you open where you agree to lock up your money into that account for a period of time. There's 1 month certificate of deposits, there's 5-year certificates of deposit, and basically the longer you're willing to lock up your money, the higher the rate of return you'll get on that deposit, because the bank has longer to use your money and you can't tap into it. So some people use certificates of deposit as a way to get a slightly higher rate of return or higher interest rate on their on their money. But it's not going to be that high, because it's guaranteed. So, there's no way for you to lose money in that account. Anything that's guaranteed, anything that's risk-free, like a certificate of deposit, is going to have typically a lower rate of interest, but a higher one than a traditional savings account, which allows you to take your money in and out of the account whenever you want to without any restrictions. Other investments that you can make would include treasury bills, which are loans that you issue to the United States government. These are short-term loans of anywhere from 3 months to 1 year. Savings bonds, which you can purchase in a bank. Savings bonds are purchased at a discount. So let's say you want to buy a $50 savings bond to save for your child or relative or for yourself. You would purchase it at $25, and then after a certain number of years, the bond would double in value to become worth $50. So you pay $25 for the bond, the savings bond, and the way you make money off of it is over time, it doubles in value. The amount of time that it takes for it to double in value will be determined by the rate of interest. So right now, interest rates are really, really low. So it's going to take a long time for a savings bond to double in value. So it's not the best investment, but it's a safe investment and one that pays a higher rate of return than a savings account. This table is in the textbook. I advise all of you to review it. We've talked about some of these different types of cash management options available to you and what some of their advantages and disadvantages are. But in terms of preparing yourself for the test, the midterm exam, you definitely should review this table and become familiar with all of these different types of cash management options and what the pros and cons are to each. Here's some resources. There's a company called Betterment. You'll see up there on the top where it says easy to set up investment account. Betterment's an amazing website. You can open up the account with no minimum balance. And all you have to do is just pick the level of risk you're willing to incur, and they'll invest the money for you into mutual funds, so you don't have to figure out what the best stock is to buy or not. And it gives you a really good, easy way of getting yourself involved in the stock market without having to really think all that much about that. I would encourage all of you to look at it, see if it's something for you. I have a lot of students that have opened up these types of accounts, and it's sort of a way of automating savings for you over the long term in something riskier than a savings account. Suncoast Credit Union is a strong supporter of Hillsborough Community College, so they're a great resource for opening up checking accounts and other resources, and they have great deals for students and little to no fees. And then the 52-week savings challenge, which you'll learn about in the check-in assignment, is basically a challenge where in week 1 you save $1, in week 2 you save $2, in week 3 you save $3, and so forth. And at the end of 52 weeks or 1 year, you have $1,400 saved. And I'm going to challenge all of you to do that over the course of this semester. And then write about at the end of the semester if you were able to at least do it during the semester period, and if not, why you were unable to do it.